large portion of like how I carry myself and how I carry my business is based on Ryan Serhant and his career. I mean, he's definitely someone that I idolize in the space. He's done it right, and you may or may not know this, but Ryan is probably the only real estate personality on television that owns his own brokerage. He started from leasing out apartments to now running a media company / brokerage, which I think he's the only one that's doing it.
I love to sit back and, consume content that has to do with, neighborhoods and new developments and, the history, like anything, you check all those boxes. I'm interested. It's almost as if I should have been in real estate myself. Instead, radio was my way. But, this is where we're at, Lewis. You can do it all. You can do it all. You could create your own, platform by way of YouTube and podcasts and kind of talk about that. So I guess what I want to ask you about real estate is, what do you think about the pop culture aspect of it? Because I mean, there are TV shows now that are popping up everywhere. The $1 Million Listings really was one of the first shows that got me excited about just like, oh my God, I get to learn all about these neighborhoods. And even the guys or girls, whoever was the real estate agent, their ambition was through the roof. And sure, some of the shows are like Selling the OC, and it's just, a little more glossy. But even looking at Property Brothers or Married to Real Estate. Married to Real Estate, in fact, Egypt is a former radio personality for many years, like top tier radio girl. And like her show's doing really well. So I wanted you to talk to me about like what got you into real estate in general, but then also what do you think about the pop culture aspect of it?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Can you do me a favor and tell me kind of, we're going to talk about Redondo, Hermosa, Manhattan in a second, but can you tell me like what I was asking in terms of like the social media influence or the televised influence? Are those shows good for the industry? Are they just like fun to watch? Is it sometimes frustrating to see maybe them not going through they're fun to watch? Okay.
Yeah, they're fun to watch. They're super entertaining. And I think some of them definitely add more value than others. Some of them are a little bit more, shined up, as you said. They're a little bit more risky. And unfortunately, those do kind of give, I don't want to say a bad rap, because at the end of the day, I think it definitely puts a spotlight on the industry, which is neat. It could definitely put cast a shadow. And,
right.
This industry is extremely difficult to be in, and it's even harder to stay in. And so, when you have certain shows following a camera, an agent goes into the house, they get the listing right away. It's not that real. I mean, I can tell you firsthand, it'll take me 6 months to a year sometimes to get a listing contract signed and for a seller to give me the green light to move forward. And a lot of that isn't portrayed. There's a lot of groundwork, and we work for free that whole time, until, even if we get the listing and we list the house, we still got to sell it, and a lot of times that's something people forget,
Okay. So I'm going to look at the positive though, because again, I don't work in that business, but, I also watch, when I would watch $1 Million Listing, Ryan Serhant, to me, yes, like the job was the job, but to see what he's done with it in terms of he's got a podcast, he's got a book, he's got, a whole division that creates production around, real estate and real estate adjacent type stuff. Like, to me, it's informative, it's motivating. So while, I think that would be the same thing as somebody coming into my world and looking at radio, I always want to do the most epic interview. I always want to do a series that's like behind the music, true Hollywood story, really dig in. But at the same time, nowadays, the landscape of media is like, quick clickbait, social, fast social clips and stuff like that. So it's like I agree with what you're saying. Like, real estate is still a job in itself, but like watching it on the TV is a different form than what you actually do. But it's adjacent.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, a large portion of like how I carry myself and how I carry my business is based on Ryan Serhant and his career. I mean, he's definitely someone that I idolize in the space. He's done it right, and you may or may not know this, but Ryan is probably the only real estate personality on television that owns his own brokerage. He started from leasing out apartments to now running a media company / brokerage, which I think he's the only one that's doing it. And I think that's huge. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, no, like I said, when I watch those guys on the television, first of all, I think $1 Million Listings should be on forever. I don't know why it was like, oh, all of a sudden the sellings
Bring
come in.
back Luis, bring back Eklund. Let's put them
Yeah.
all in the room. Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, they are motivating, and I think I have followed a little bit of Ryan's stuff, and yeah, it doesn't really match me completely in terms of what I do, but yeah, like you said, he's created his own media company. The content that they do is like the most enriched experience of New York. You know, they're going to give you everything, and it's definitely quite motivating.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm a big fan of what Ryan Serhant did. I think his original tagline was something like, what was it, like sell always and always, or
always and always.
what was it again? Go ahead.
And always and always.
It's just like
always and always. Yeah.
sometimes you got to be tenacious at what you do. And if you love working with people and kind of ushering them into their dream, then there you go. That's one thing about you is when I've heard you talk about the work that you do, because we'll talk about like pop culture too, but like you say that you enjoy like ushering in people these opportunities, for maybe a daunting and an overwhelming experience. And I think that's what it is. Like, who wants to go into this and feel like, oh my gosh, am I going to be fooled, or am I going to be in a situation that's going to cause more problems?
I think along the way we've become a little jaded and maybe desensitized to the fact that we're talking a lot of money here, and for a lot of people, it's their life savings that they're putting into a house, and so. As an agent, it's something that we have to keep in mind. We're not always talking about $12-30 million homes, right? I mean, we're talking about entry-level homes or someone's first condo or whatever it may be, and it might be every dollar that they have to their names, And so a lot of the times it's just making sure that they feel comfortable with the process, walking them through it. It's not just the glitz and the glam.
Well, because I'm going to be one of the great talk show hosts of my time, get ready for it. We will be doing a $30 million home for me. You have to manifest these things sometimes. Ryan Serhant did. He was a hand model, and now he's doing all the things he's doing.
One of the first YouTube videos that he put up, once he started getting into like the more social media aspect of his business, one of the first YouTube videos was, he said something in there, but along the lines of like, if you're not looking at yourself in the mirror every single day and telling that person that you're the best at what you do and no one else is better, that might sound a little narcissistic, but the way he says is like narcissism is like the new confidence. Like you have to walk out there letting the world know that there's no one better than you.
Right.
And I think that's super important. I love when he says that because it's so true.
I was going to ask you, I think you read his book, but going off what you just said a second ago, I think there's so much space for being humble. And I think a lot of my growing up experience was that. Yeah. And I think when I struck out into the world, so to speak, going after my dreams or whatever, I learned that like you go so humble, which is nice. It's nice. It's nice. But
how do you let people know?
Huh?
How do you let people know that you're the best at what you do? You got to tell people because no one else is going to do it for you.
Right.
Like my mom loves me and my dad will always be there for me, but they're not going out, spreading the Palacios group word. And so, someone's got to do it.
Well, and here's the thing too. It's like, I think also you have to put your money where your mouth is a little bit, Louis, too. So like, yes, there's moments for being humble, cut your teeth, hone your craft, or learn the skill set that is necessary to be the best at it. Now, and again, humble is good. I'm just saying there's been points in my career where I've utilized that humble, softer side of things, and I didn't really get to achieve what I wanted. So what I'm saying is put your money where your mouth is. You're only going to make that proclamation of like, I am going to be, whatever it is. For me, again, I want to be one of the great talk show hosts of our time. I want to create a show that's very Regis and Kelly, like that's a format I feel like I would do really well at, on top of having 20 years of radio experience and production experience. Yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you, and I know you agree, or I feel like you agree, I feel like we're both of the school of Ryan Serhant to a degree, is you will never say that if you don't know what you're doing. Right. So I have other interests, but you don't see me getting big and loud for those interests because I don't really know what I'm doing. I gotta believe that like I care about broadcast so much. I wanted to bring good content. I wanted to talk about the beach cities. I wanted to get an amazing person like yourself to chat with, about these things. You have to know that, like, I'm bringing a good product to the table, right? I don't know.
1,000%. And I guess I should say that, like, this isn't how I felt starting my career. I definitely knew that I had to go through the trials and tribulations of becoming an agent. And, with every single deal, you learn something new. Every single deal is so incredibly different than the last. And so, it takes a while to get to that point, but there's definitely a moment in your career where you're like, okay, I think I've made a name for myself, and now I can tell the people how good I am,
I'm still a really kind person, but the dog just came out of me. You could
I love it.
It's exciting talking about neighborhoods, the history, not every, the goods and the bads, and just the creative process. I love it. We will talk about Manhattan. We will talk about Hermosa. We'll talk about Redondo to start. Once again, just kind of breaking it down. Louis, you and I know the South Bay beach cities of Los Angeles very well, but again, not everyone does. So we're gonna break down all these little neighborhoods.
Hey, Ronnie Jr.